One and all, and welcome back to another RWBY discussion. I am your only mate, and with me as always is...
Yeah, it's time for me to screw up the intro. Max, if you try, I forgot my name. We're here to talk about Volume 8, Episode 4, Fault. How you doing today?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
I'm fine. Other than, wow, that's the biggest brain fart I think I've ever had in my life. I forgot what my username was. Anyway, after that absolutely phenomenal intro, is there anything you would like to say before we jump straight into this episode? Any preamble?
Nothing that's too related now.
Okay, well then I guess we'll just start talking about the episode, why don't we?
Yeah, let's do that. We're back in prison with Robin and Crow, and Jock is there too.
Yeah, he is also there, but he doesn't really amount to much in this scene, so we don't have to care.
Yeah, all he does is like try and shoo a fly away.
Yeah, you know, mildly funny because he was mildly afraid of a fly. Because he's that big of a wuss.
Yeah, weenie.
Yeah, you're a big old weenie man. Anyway, so Robin is recounting a funny anecdote, and honestly, it's kind of nice seeing her be that way, because I'm not really, like, you know, being the face of a rebellion and whatnot, you kind of instill a certain image of yourself to the world. And you don't really think, you wouldn't really expect her to be the kind to really even try to lighten the mood. Given her cellmates, I understand why she's doing it, and I appreciate her massively for it.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't expect it.
Yeah, and she even gets Crow to smile.
At least a little bit, which is more than he's been able to do for the past while. So you know what? We're counting that as a victory.
Yeah. And then Crow has to go and say what everyone thought was going through his head like during the whole hiatus.
Yeah, basically. It was like, wow, I really screwed that up. And it backfired in ways that I really was not mentally prepared for. And, I mean, it's impossible to deny. He did make a really bad choice briefly working with Tyrion there.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand in the heat of the moment and the actions and everything that's going on, and it basically being a three-way fight, but... And I even looked back on this. A lot of the times, I mean, Clover focused on Crow more than he focused on Tyrion, and interrupted a lot of attacks.
Yeah.
So I understand why Crow went about it the way he did. He still shouldn't have, but I get why it happened the way it did. But also, that just kind of makes the whole situation worse for him mentally.
Yeah. And now he's even saying, like, for the first time in a while, he thought he could finally be around somebody without his semblance getting in the way.
Yeah, I feel like...
Oof.
I mean, yeah, that's really depressing. And the thing is, we've known that to be a thing about Crow. I mean, that's, you know, because he's talked about how the bad luck has affected people around him his entire life. You know, that was really the first time we got a real legitimate example of it. But that just leads me to wonder about what do you think has happened to other people in his life?
I mean, some people speculate, like, maybe Crow's semblance could have something to do with Summer.
That is a very real possibility. I was actually gonna, if you weren't gonna bring that up, I was too.
And you know what? Maybe he feels responsible for that, so that's why he still looks in on Ruby and Yang to make sure they're okay.
I feel like that has to be a factor in it. I mean, I legitimately believe Crow to be a good guy in general, but the fact that, you know, Raven split and really didn't seem to give even the tiniest bit of a damn about Yang. Really.
I just had a baby. Bye.
Yeah, basically. I feel like Crow, you know, even in that sense, you would feel some kind of obligation to at least check in every now and then.
Yeah.
But even if he didn't, let's say he believed he had a hand in what ultimately happens to Summer, that would explain a lot when it comes to the level of devotion he has towards Ruby and Yang, I think.
Ruby in particular? Yes.
Because it's obvious that, I mean, okay, there's obviously been that theory about Crow and Ruby, but I've never subscribed to it.
Nor have I, and also, fun fact, Monty and I think Miles and Kerry also confirmed that no, that is not the case.
Okay.
Oh,
Honestly,
no, wait.
I think that...
No. Monty confirmed that Ruby wasn't related to Adam.
Ah, okay. That's fair. Well, the point is, while that would explain it, I kind of like the idea that, by all things considered, he doesn't have any family connection to Ruby whatsoever, and yet at the exact same time, he obviously cares about her a lot.
Yeah.
So...
Well, because it's his teammate's kid.
Exactly, and if he thought that he had any hand in her demise or disappearance or whatever, then it would make sense that why he would, make that extra effort that he does. And we kind of dwelled on that a bit, but we can sort of...
Yeah.
Okay, well, very... Go ahead.
We dwell on it a bit because it's an interesting thought.
Oh, absolutely, no. And I mean, you know what, whatever. If you're watching these, you should be expecting that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why else you'd be watching this. But this transitions actually into Robin giving a bit of a story about herself, about also... She doesn't claim to, okay, well, maybe not to your level by any means, but I kind of sort of understand what you're going through because my semblance makes it hard to make connections with people, too. As it turns out, being a living lie detector, it does have a couple downsides.
Yeah.
You'd think that would just be the ultimate in practicality, but, I guess if she just makes physical contact with anybody, she's just like, no, I know if you're lying or not. And... sometimes some lies are okay. So that probably would make things a bit tricky. But, kudos to Robin, because she's really legitimately... She clearly actually does feel bad for Crow and wants to help him.
Yeah. And what they've got going on here, I like it.
Yeah, whatever it ends up being, I'm cool with it.
Yeah. I just ask that it be called Jailbirds.
I know you do. We'll see. You never know what these people are going to latch on to.
I still don't know if anyone has actually come up with a name for this, other than that.
I don't know. I try to stay away from the fandom for a very large amount of reasons.
Understandable.
Yeah.
In some areas.
Yeah. Also, I guess Crow cleaned... I keep wanting to bring this up. I guess he cleaned off that pin because it was covered in blood at one point.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it dried and flaked off or something, but I don't know, it just felt like something I needed to say.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Watts gets thrown back in. And it's always nice to see him get hurt.
Yeah. By the way, you might notice that he has his rings on again.
Wow, come on, no way. Oh, he does.
No. I think... Yeah, I saw Amber post about this. Freelancer Amber, by the way, shout out. Kerry confirmed, no, that was just an animation hiccup.
Oh, okay. It's like, oh, wait.
He doesn't actually have his, hacker rings back.
It's like, did they seriously forget to take those away from him?
No, it's like, that one shot in Volume 7 where Blake has a coat again.
Right.
In,
it was just,
one camera angle.
Yeah, it was just an accident. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. It's good, but it's like, oh, wait, crap, that actually... is a more serious error than Blake still having a coat. Is like, wait, that's his thing that could get him out of the prison instantaneously. We should probably point out that that's not actually supposed to be there. Also, Hip Lady is like, hey, give that pin back.
Nah.
And Crow's like, no. He's like, give it back. No.
No.
And Crow does not want to give it back.
No, it's mine. I called dibs.
He did call dibs. Let's be real. Either way, doesn't even try. She doesn't even really try to get it back, but she's still like, yeah, you can't keep that. It's like, no, yeah, it's mine now.
Yeah, I didn't kill him. And she's all, yeah, I don't believe that. While Robin's all, yeah, if you want the truth, just hold my hand. And Harriet's all, nah, I don't want to do that.
And Robin, who I gotta be honest, I'm liking more as a character, with almost every episode at this point of this season at least. Is basically like, yeah, you don't want an answer. You just want to be angry at stuff. Because that's so much easier. And I'm like, damn. She almost opens it, but she doesn't.
All Robin needs at that point is just a mic to drop.
I know, right? So many members of the Happy Huntresses have had mic drop moments,
Or if not that, then maybe Crow or Watts to go, ah, snap.
I know, right? Hey, Jacques, if you want to win any measurement of points, now would be the time. Just in the background. Ah, snap.
Or just going, ooh, goal.
Something like that. It makes absolutely no sense in character, but I don't care because it makes me laugh.
That would be hilarious. That'd be fantastic for a fan comic.
Absolutely. It's like of all the people. Anyway.
And he's just like, what? I got nothing else to do.
I'm bored. I'm bored and you took my money. Anyway. Then Robin goes back to napping position. Understandable.
Yeah.
And action sequence!
Before we get to this action sequence, can I just say...
Oh?
We interrupt this episode of RWBY to bring you Attack on Titan. On motorcycles!
Attack on Titan on motorcycles?
Attack on Titan on motorcycles.
My god. Kind of really. He said that earlier, and it's hard to deny the... Yeah, it's chasing a giant monster in the cliffs, but on motorcycles.
Yeah. Which, okay, this joke kind of makes me want to see, like, Mikasa riding a bike that has the ODM gear equipped to it. Just, like, driving at the side of a building and killing titans.
See, well, and I said, well, that sounds incredibly badass. That also sounds ridiculously overkill.
And stupid. But...
Oh, a little, but sometimes stupid can be good.
Yeah, like, if you just go, like, all in on it, then it just becomes awesome.
Yeah. So, the action sequence begins, and the motorcycles are already kind of losing their juices. But they're obviously not going to try and let Asuka get away to the best they can. Jean is actually able to formulate himself some pretty good plans pretty quickly.
Yep, which involves throwing Ren at it.
Yeah, because thankfully his... I find it interesting that his sword has the little repel function. It makes sense. It's just, every time I see him use it, it always makes me go, oh yeah. So that's really good for launching your ninja friend.
Yeah, speaking of whom, it's a really good thing he has the Attack on Titan gear in his weapon now.
Yeah, otherwise he would not have reached it at all. And, okay, I'd be remiss if I didn't very briefly just mention the fact that Yang and Jean high-five.
I know.
John almost falls off because of it, but it was still cool.
Meanwhile, Ren's getting slammed into rocks.
Yeah, I have a quick question about that, actually. Doesn't it have a retract function?
Yeah, it should do. Like, Ren, what are you doing?
Yeah, so why did he just starts swinging around, and then he even starts, like, climbing it like it's a freaking, like, you know, the rope at gym class or something.
No, he also grapples a rock to try and weigh the hound down.
Yeah, that part's sensible, and I agree with it, but I feel like he could have just retracted it and gotten all up in the Grimm's business almost immediately, and I'm kind of confused why he didn't.
Ren, you seriously need to take lessons from people named Ackerman.
Yeah, he just keeps the references just don't stop with you.
Yeah, like, talk to Mikasa or Levi. Either one of them would be fantastic for you.
Yeah. So, not for lack of trying, but they're obviously having some issue making the Hound stop doing the flying away thingy. And then it makes a big old roar and a bunch of millipedes show up.
Yeah, which... Okay, so... This also made me think of Attack on Titan, because... No, because here's the thing.
Okay.
Like, there are those 9 special Titans that people shift themselves into.
Right.
And one of the things that some of them can do is roar, which calls mindless Titans over, like, to their location. The Armored, Female, and Beast Titan have all done it.
Okay.
And that's exactly
fair.
what the Hound has done.
Okay, fair enough. But seriously, that makes like 4 references now? Cool it. We're talking about RWBY right now.
I'm sorry, but there are comparisons here.
No, I get you. I ain't counting it against you.
And I love both these series.
Fair enough. Anyway, the millipedes can vomit up some kind of cohesive acid, and it is mad gross.
Yeah.
But shout out to Jean once again, who does a truly insane maneuver because the acid gets landed onto his like engine, so he has to abort the thing. And dude can just jump like 12 feet into the air, apparently. And he, like, Sonic the Hedgehog bounces off of one of the other ones, and it's just hilarious to me. And then I was gonna say Yang yoinks him onto the bike, but I almost said yoing yonks.
What?
And that's not a sentence. Either way, they're on the same motorcycle now.
Yeah.
And they've only got the one, and that's no good.
Well, luckily they've got the more experienced driver on this one.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best one. Also, I sure hope that John is able to get that light dust grenade thingy back, because that thing is useful, and it would be a shame if it was gone forever.
Yeah. Either that, or if he has more.
Yeah, well, let's hope that's the case, because he uses it as a makeshift ramp to get over this really kind of freaking sweet Dino Dragon Grim with, like, icicle spikes. I like it.
Yeah, it is a really cool idea, though.
Yeah. Also, no, that's something I didn't actually notice the first time I watched it. Okay, obviously Yang is a really good driver, and she's doing the best she can, but they're actually about to, like, slam into a rock, but Jean actually uses his shield to, like, deflect it. At, like, 652, they're, like, flying, and then they spin, and they're about to slam into a rock, but he's like, nah.
I think I went past it.
That's okay. The point is, it's just really, it's cool to see that, like, this sort of free form. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes by, like, really fast.
Yeah, almost instantly, and, like, you never wouldn't even notice it. It just looks like, I don't know, maybe they bumped into it or something, but he actually stopped them from crashing into it, which is neat. And it's that kind of free-form combat that I like to see. So, but the problem is, they ran out of road.
Yeah, and, well, Yang tries to slow them down by, throwing them off the bike, but
it did not work.
They go off the cliff.
Yeah, but John even tried to, like, stop it by, like, stabbing a sword in, but his grip gets broken. And I didn't even realize, at some point they were actually managed to, like, grab hands before they ended up getting caught. Spoiler alert, they get caught by Ren.
Who does a freaking Mulan maneuver.
That he do. Unfortunately, and quick instantaneous use of the semblance manages to make the Grim stop being a thing, but the Hound gets away.
Yeah, Ben is heading towards the whale.
But it's always got to head towards the whale, and I'm sure this won't lead to any kind of angst whatsoever in the immediate future.
Or any uncomfortable scenes.
Yeah, absolutely not. Definitely not, because we're moving on to a better scene that's not uncomfortable at all. Is Whitley.
Oh,
everybody's favorite guy. Sarcasm. I mean, I say that, but inexplicably, he has an extraordinarily large fan base.
Also, we got a shot of Blake carrying Nora.
Yeah, she's really good at carrying people.
Yeah, which I've even seen people post screenshots of her carrying Weiss, Yang, and Sun as well.
Yeah, so basically, when people get incapacitated, Blake's got that upper body strength, as it turns out. Go figure.
Yeah, she does.
All right, so this is going to be interesting because I actually have a lot to say about this, but I don't know when to say it. Let's just get to the scene play-by-play. Whitley, basically tries to give the sass, and Weiss is all like, "Hey, how about I stab you if you keep doing that?" And that made me happy. So he gets out of the way, and basically, long story short, they want to use Schnee Manor as basically a hidey hole for a while Nora recovers, and then they're gonna leave. But Whitley constantly, whines and complains about the fact that they're trying to do this. It's like, he goes on and on about, our family has a reputation, and Mom locked herself into her room, and we lost all the wait staff, and this is awful. You want me to house fugitives now? Blah, 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 blah. And Weiss ain't having none of that bull crap.
Also, shout out to Blake for being all, oh, really? That's what you're worried about? Your reputation?
Yes. Exactly. See, that's leading into what I want to talk about very briefly. I know I'm a bit of a windbag and I say a lot, but I actually want to point this out really quick because it really bothered me.
I mean, it's related to Weiss, so go for it.
Thank you. That's the one place I feel like I don't get criticized for when it comes to Weiss. Okay, so I've been informed by trusted sources that a lot of people are actually upset with Weiss because they think her treatment of Whitley is unfounded, unnecessary, and actually a good chunk of people side with Whitley on this particular matter. I, on the other hand, personally, find the people who think that are stupid. Because I don't think people fully understand and comprehend the situation as it stands. You see, here's the thing. I don't know. I guess maybe people have this weird misinterpretation about how relationships between siblings are supposed to work, but sometimes they don't work. Sometimes you have really bad relationships with them, and they have very good reasons for it, and it doesn't really matter what you say, do, or think, and it doesn't matter if it's real life or fiction. Sometimes those bridges are never going to be repaired. Maybe Whitley is going to make some kind of peace with Weiss at some point in the future. This is a fictional story. These type of things actually happen a lot. But the fact of the matter is, Weiss has suffered through a lot of abuse due to the hands of Jacques Snee over the course of her life, and it took a very long time to be able to get over much of this. At the exact same time, you have to realize that Whitley has, on multiple occasions, in fact, it's implied to basically be there during his entire life, to side with her father on almost all things during the entirety of their known relationship. So, I think Weiss has a few good reasons to not exactly be sunny and cheery about having to deal with her really obnoxious younger brother who's never sided with her once in her entire life over literally anything, when all Weiss is trying to do is save the life of her friend and try to lay low so that the rest of her friends don't die. And on top of everything else, she wants to do it by going to her house. So I'm sorry if I'm not going to give any credit to Whitley for this. He is a snivelly little brown-nosing jackass, and if he wants to make that character redemption, he's more than welcome to do so. I welcome it. But as it stands right now, he has yet to do anything even remotely close to that. So I don't want to hear it. I don't like it. Weiss is in the right. I am biased, yes, but I'm also correct. Thank you, and let's move on.
I will say you are absolutely right. I was trying not to say much because I didn't want to interrupt.
I absolutely understand. Thank you. Thank you for letting me get that out.
Though I will add to it.
Go ahead.
Like, yeah, some have called back to Volume 7 of Willow telling Weiss not to forget about her brother, but what I want people to understand is, Weiss isn't suddenly just gonna go, "Oh, Whitley, everything's good, come here, give your big sis a hug." No, it's gonna take time.
Yeah, as it turns out, relationships aren't easy to fix, especially when, the majority of it, over the course of your entire life has been antagonistic to the beginning. And again, knock, knock, knock on the door, want to save my friend, and the first thing he has to say is, no, haven't you done enough already? You got father arrested, and our name is going through the mud, and we lost our waitstaff, and I'm grumpy, so piss off. Ultimately, it ends with Weiss yelling at him to go to his room, and it was badass and awesome, and I like it, because Weiss is finally able to take charge of her life, and is more than her name, and I love it.
Also, yeah, telling Whitley to just go to his room, I also look at this as just don't get in the way.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, you're just in the way. Stop being in the way. If you're not going to be helpful, go away.
Yeah, and you never know, maybe Weiss will go up to him later and they'll have a talk and start working on it. It's just not right now.
Yeah, but there are more important things to deal with. Also,
that too.
very quickly before we move on from this, I just want to get your feedback on this, because maybe my bias towards Weiss is showing on this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I saw multiple people make the argument that Weiss was being unreasonable and that Whitley was clearly actually trying to help. Did I block that completely out, or did it in fact not happen?
I mean, considering that all he does is just, tell them, "Oh, haven't you done enough?" Wait, and be like, "Oh, so we're just harboring fugitives now? We've lost the staff. Mum's locked herself away," which I'm apparently not trying to do anything about, considering what's going on.
You'd think you would have tried, and again, he does say the phrase, "What am I supposed to do?" It sounded much more whiny and condescending than, "How could I legitimately help you right now?" It was more like, "What am I supposed to do?" That sort of thing. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, so if he's just going to be condescending and everything, just go to your room, we'll talk later.
Now, that all being said, yes, I dislike Whitley. However, I'm not so blind and stupid as to not realize that he acts a lot like how Weiss did when the series began. There is hope for him. He could become a better person.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
As
he
am,
just clearly isn't yet.
Yeah, as am I.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's basically the play-by-play for the entire scene.
Yeah. Well, so before we move on from this,
yes,
the Weiss go to your room line. A while back, the RWBY voice actresses were asked, like, oh, is there anything you want for your character, like, by the end of the story? And Kara said that she kind of wants to see Weiss as, like, a motherly figure. So, I want to say that she channeled that into that line read.
At least a little tiny bit.
Yeah, in which case, hey, good on you, Kara.
Man, I don't remember which one of my friends ultimately suggested, like, they were just spitballing ideas for, like, end games for the characters, and I don't know if it was you or someone else, but, like, one of them was like, man, what if Weiss just, like, took care of an orphanage? And I was like...
No, that was me.
That was you.
That
okay.
That was at least one of my ideas.
Yeah, at least one of your ideas, and I remember going, like, wow, you know, that doesn't sound bad.
Like... No, my idea was, what if she, like, turned Schnee Manor into an orphanage?
Right, something to that effect. That makes sense, yes. And I was like, stuff like this, and the fact that Weiss legitimately is becoming... While RWBY is, like, the soul of the team, I find, I like, Weiss is obviously very clearly started inserting herself into as, like, the heart of the team with the thing she's done. But... as much as I would like to continue to talk about her, this episode isn't about her, the scene is done. RWBY mediates the whole situation between her and her brother, makes it all sort of work out, he gets out of the way, Nora gets to rest.
Yep. And, then we get a interaction between Blake and RWBY.
Which is becoming significantly more common. I refuse to believe the writers didn't realize that they never spoke to each other and didn't make the conscious effort to add more.
Fair enough. But, yeah, RWBY's just hoping that everyone's doing okay, and Blake's all, you know, if you're worried about Yang, you could try calling her. Which, yeah,
that's the bad news.
RWBY's already been trying.
Yeah, she's been trying this whole time, and it ain't working. Oh, boy, and,
though before we get to the depressing stuff, on a slightly funnier note.
Okay, please do.
I like how people have been interpreting this, like, in a jokey way, because, you know, obviously it's, like, you know, Blake just being worried about RWBY and suggesting that to, you know, try and make her feel better.
Right.
But a lot of people interpret it as just, like, Blake just wants to talk to Yang, but doesn't want to come across as, like, needy. So just like, hey, RWBY, you could always try calling her, like, you know, whatever.
Maybe. Okay, all right. I don't know if that actually is the case or not. I don't think it is in this particular instance. I think she was trying to comfort RWBY a little.
No, that's what I think as well.
But I could see that as being at least mildly true, and that is kind of funny.
Yeah, I even saw like a photoshopped image of you know that like bulb Grim the Salem has?
Yeah.
It's like Blake in that talking to Salem saying, hey, can you call Yang for me?
That's actually that's pretty great. All right, so I suppose we need to tackle the depressing subject.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jean, Yang, and Ren are traveling through the Arctic, and aura levels are dropping. They definitely need to try and find a way to get some shelter.
Man, scrolls.
And,
I'm just noticing scrolls have a lot of features.
They really do. I find it interesting that they can... we've known this for a very long time that they could, but I never get over the fact that they basically have health bars.
Yeah, and also just like... Jesus Christ, how much can you do with these scrolls?
I don't know, but clearly whoever made them really put their all into it. I gotta give them kudos for that.
Move over, smartphones. I want to scroll from RWBY.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so I talked at length about the previous scene. I'll back you up on this one, but you take lead.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Sorry, no, I'm not trying to pass it on off to you. I just want to give you your turn to talk.
Well, okay, so Yang's asking Ren, hey, how much further to this thing? And he's not talking. When she asks again, he's like, look, I don't know. And, he's clearly a bit...
Snippy?
Yeah, a bit snippy. So, him and Yang have a bit of a talk, and he brings up how, he had to, save Yang and Jean, which, according to Yang, he's brought up a couple times.
Yep.
And he's all, look, we don't want to waste any more time, which gets Yang a little annoyed, and she finally asks what has been on our minds, what is your deal?
Yeah.
I kind of want to ask that with her as well, but we'll move on.
Yeah, one problem at a time, and Ren's problem is definitely the bigger issue right now.
Yeah. And Yang's just like, look, sorry things haven't been going so smoothly for you or anything, and Ren's talking about how they weren't ready to become huntsmen. Jean's telling them, look, stop. Yang's bringing up...
Trying.
Yeah. Yang's bringing up all the stuff that they've done, like stopping a Leviathan, bringing the lamb to Atlas, and then Ren's all, yeah, but we lost it, and now everything's going wrong, because we made all these bad decisions.
True, but again, at the same time, Yang makes also a very good retort in that, so we should have done nothing then?
And Ren's all, yeah, well, Ruby's, no more or less than a kid. I'm just some orphan from the middle of nowhere, and he yells at Jean, and you cheated your way into Beacon.
Which was ridiculously uncalled for. Accurate, but uncalled for.
Also, I completely forgot that was a thing for a moment.
I didn't, but I also felt like Jean had definitely at least mildly earned a bit more credit to the point where it wasn't as big of a deal. I don't know what exactly the ultimate, what the line for, okay, now you get to be a hunter is, the skill level you need. But I always felt like, at the very least, he'd done enough and paid enough dues to make up for the fact that, yeah, he shouldn't have been in Beacon. And also, it's implied that Ozpin knew that from the start.
Yeah, because Glenda was like, I don't care what his resume says, that Jean fellow isn't ready for this, and he's all,
Yeah, so, obviously Ozpin's not infallible by any stretch of the imagination, but I think he knew, and ultimately was like, nah, but I know that, but he's got potential and stuff like that.
I know
Regardless,
this. I am wise.
He is wise in some ways, and not wise in a few others.
Yeah. Also, the reason I forgot about this is because this is the first time that's been brought up since Volume 1. And Jean's, skill has increased so much to a point where I'm just like...
You forget that was ever a thing. It's like, oh yeah, wait, yeah, he started with less than nothing. He didn't even know what aura was.
Jesus.
It's like, oh yeah, you really started at a deficit there. But point being, Ren is a very, very bottled up pile of emotions, and it is breaking. Admittedly, he did clearly feel bad about bringing that up immediately after he said it. And Jean is obviously hurt by it, also doesn't really feel a need to become antagonistic over it either.
Meanwhile, Yang decides to add on to it, saying, do you just push everyone away?
I mean, he sure is making an attempt, isn't he?
Kinda, yeah.
I mean, I like Ren. I want to see him do better. I understand where he's coming from, and I get that he's an emotionally repressed person dealing with far more emotion than he's probably used to ever having to use. It was probably a coping mechanism given, the events of his childhood. But,
yeah.
So I'm not saying there isn't a perfectly justifiable and understandable reason for all of it, but still.
Yeah. I will say, though,
Go ahead.
going back to, Ren and Yang's argument, the thing is about that scene, they're both right.
Yeah. And that's how you write a compelling and good argument between two good characters.
Yeah.
There is no wrong side. I'm personally of the mind that I side with Yang on this particular issue. But I understand where Ren is coming from, but at the same time, if you're capable and willing and can do something, you shouldn't not do something.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of the setup for Captain America Civil War.
Yeah.
Like,
Man, they improved. It has nothing to do with anything, but man, that was so much better than the comic book.
also, it's just a really good movie.
Yeah, no, it's a very good movie. Both sides had a point. You understand why both sides thought the way they did. Was there a right answer? It depends. You could side with either and technically not be wrong.
Also, Spider-Man's in it.
Also, Spider-Man was in it, and it was rather swell.
Yeah. There was actually a story a friend of mine in Scotland told me. When he went to see the movie for the first time, there was some, like, announcer before they started playing it. Okay, who's on Team Cap? A bunch of people screamed, yeah! Who's on Team Iron Man? Same amount of people, yeah! Who's just here to see Spider-Man? Everybody cheered.
Fair enough. It was a big deal. Anyway, Oscar's being tortured.
Yeah. We're just whiplashing, like, funny, like, cheery stuff, and then, oh wait, this thing.
Yeah, I actually forgot this scene happened. I guess a part of me blacked it out. Yeah, so Salem has Oscar now, and...
Oh, and speaking of Salem, a little detail I noticed on my second watch. You know that smoke that she's swirling around?
I thought it was like a little storm cloud, but yeah, what about it?
Well, it resembles 4 figures, and if you listen carefully, you can hear, like, kids laughing.
Oh, that's horrifying.
Yeah.
Oh god, no, those are the, oh, yeah, that is who those are. Oh my god, I did not realize. Holy crap, that's messed up.
Also, that detail, like, good on you, RWBY.
Like, yeah.
Jesus.
Wow, that is missable, but once you know it, man, it hits 20 times harder. We should preface this by the fact that Oscar wakes up to the sound of Ozpin saying, we're going to be okay. You'll have to forgive me for doubting that statement.
Given what's about to happen, yeah.
Yes. Long story short, Salem wants information, and, Ozpin's not saying anything. Oscar sure as all heck would rather not say anything. So he tries to lie and half-truth his way out, and he gets force lightninged for it.
Essentially, yeah.
Oscar does not deserve any of what's happened to him. My god.
No, he really doesn't.
He was just a farmhand.
Like, he didn't ask for any of this.
He really didn't. We could go further into detail, but really there's not a whole lot there. I mean, this is technically a reunion between Ozpin, or Ozma, as the case may be, and Salem, but they don't exchange words. We don't even hear Ozpin internally say anything about it. We just see Oscar try to not give away information to varying degrees of success, and Salem progressively becoming more and more, like, kind of annoyed by that. Ultimately coming to the conclusion, all right, fine, well, whatever, you're going to say something eventually. I don't care which one of you tells me this, but I'm going to get the info I need about this lamp. And then...
we get reintroduced to somebody.
Yeah, Hazel's back.
And
he's still
is
mad.
Pissed.
Yeah, and then we get to see him beat the ever-loving tar out of Oscar. And, man, I get where you're coming from, Hazel, but no part of you thinks that this is a bit much.
Yeah, it's rough. Also, shout out to the Hound for staying more or less perfectly still, like, throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, the Hound is very well trained.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Hound, Cinder is jealous of it.
Apparently.
Which is really funny to me.
Especially when you consider that I have the theory that that's more or less what Cinder might turn into one day.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Because of the Grimon consuming her.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, and also the fact that that Salem basically said that, the Hound was an experiment of hers, and one that she's pretty happy with the results of. So, yeah, I'm just saying.
Which is leading to people thinking that, the Hound is like Summer mutated into a Grim by Salem. And
yeah, I fail to see that. I see that as unlikely. I'm of the firm mind that Summer is dead.
I'm
But,
open to that.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Point is, if Cinder does end up getting turned into a grim monster, I mean, you heard it from us.
Yep. Though I will say, those Attack on Titan comparisons I was making.
Oh lordy.
This is the last one, I swear.
Okay.
Like, those Titans that roared and called for backup, what did they all have in common? They were people in control of their Titan bodies. Boom! The Hound is a person turned into a Grim. Solved it by another anime.
I mean, I'm not going to say that it's not possible. You make a very good point. Anyway, Cinder wants to do stuff. Salem is like, you're kind of a colossal failure, so stop questioning me, or I'll kill you.
Also, like, Jesus, that line that she has, just like, talking to the Hound. Oh, do you hear that, my pet? She thinks. She wants. And people have been drawn parallels between Salem and Cinder because she's done stuff like that, those beneath her.
Exactly. It almost as like a very disturbing parent dynamic here of passing on, traits down to things.
Yeah.
Also, again, my personal feelings towards Neo.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact of the matter is, during this entire exchange, she never stops having sassy face.
I'll give kudos to her.
She's never once scared or intimidated or even does a whoa face. No, the entire time her eyebrow is arched, her arms are folded, and she's like, "Can you believe this crap?" What? How is any of this even real? My God. And ultimately, because you remember that the text for this basically said that Cinder receives an ultimatum, and that ultimatum is, sit down, shut up, don't do anything, or I'll kill you. So naturally, Cinder decides she wants to go do something anyway without permission.
Yeah, and with what Neo does, I really want to see her holding a sign that just says, "I'm Mary Poppins, y'all."
Yeah. I'm a bit confused by that umbrella. I'm not 100% sure how it's supposed to work, as it has nothing to do with her semblance at all. So I guess...
Or maybe
does Neo just weigh?
Maybe Neo just doesn't weigh that much.
Like, does Neo weigh like 30 pounds and there's a hell of a draft up here or something?
Considering how high up they are, that makes sense.
It's possible, but I'm just saying, I don't see the capes and hair blowing nearly enough to facilitate that.
Well, if there was such a draft, could you imagine if, like, the second she popped the umbrella, it's just like, and just like...
I mean, it did happen once. It did happen once, and that was pretty great. But Neo, to her credit, would really rather not get involved with this because, this evil, veiny demon god has said that she's going to kill us if we go against her word. So maybe don't do that. That's stupid.
But then someone comes along. I'll help.
Because somebody is desperately craving validation
It's
from somebody
Emerald.
who's desperately... I know it's Emerald, but she's desperately craving validation from someone who's desperately craving validation from someone else. This is absolutely bonkers, people. And it's weird. Like, you'd think, I don't know, at the very bare minimum, Emerald maybe would notice, like, she's doing exactly to her what she does to me. Weird.
I
don't know. Maybe she'll realize it later.
Yeah, I'm thinking, like...
Or maybe she has realized it, but she doesn't want to believe it or accept it. That's common with this type of situation. I'm not trying to downplay the horrible, mind tendrils that abuse can place on people. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Seeing it from the outside should at least help a little bit.
Yep, and you know what? In a way, this was kind of foreshadowed, just like those three together. Because in the opening, when time is stopped and Cinder's walking, you can see Neo and Emerald, but Mercury is, like, in the flames with all the other villains.
Right.
So
this is foreshadowing. Yeah. So there you go.
Also,
good
Emerald,
luck. Good luck to them, I guess.
Also, Emerald, if you're gonna turn good, now is your perfect chance to start.
Like, yeah, I mean, you have a pretty good opportunity.
Yeah,
I mean, Go ahead.
Realize that Cinder doesn't actually give a crap about you, and don't go back with her.
I mean, I realized you recently just murdered a couch and made a coat out of it, but still. I'm sorry. That coat is just silly looking to me. It looks like it's part of a couch.
You know, now you
Such a
say it.
It's a stupid thing to bring up, but it looks like a leather cushion on a couch seat. That's all I'm saying.
I can't not see that now, damn it.
Yeah, now you're never gonna not see it. Anyway, Emerald says she's been working on her semblance and that she can be really useful. And Cinder's all like, but man, I hate being near you, but I guess I have no choice. So, we'll see how that ends up going. Poorly, I assume.
Yeah, because now we have to cut to this last scene.
The final depressing scene. The good news is they found shelter. Jean, Ren, and Yang. I mean, they found shelter and a partially working heater, so that's swell.
For a minute, I almost thought you were about to say Nora.
I almost did, but I didn't. Because I was like, well, ordinarily, that is the combination that it usually is.
I mean, strong girl that's half of one of the most popular pairings in the fan base. Like, makes sense.
Yeah. And for Jean's credit, he is once again not actually upset with Ren. He very clearly would just much rather Ren be, better.
Yeah, just like open up, talk about it.
And considering how badly he bungled a previous attempt to talk someone into opening up about their feelings and emotions, and ultimately what resulted as a happenstance of a perceived failure on his end to do so, you might understand why he's trying a little harder this time. I don't really like to bring that up sometimes, but it's a little hard to point out because I mean that was one of the that was a bit of a linchpin back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, but Ren's...
Like Jean is trying, but Ren's not having it.
Yeah. Well, Yang's found a part to fix the bike.
Miraculously, kudos to Yang. Good news. Yay.
Yeah, and she even tries to tell Jean, look, I'm sorry that you said that to you. You've worked really hard to get here. Yeah,
I mean, there you go. You got Yang's acknowledgement. That's worth at least 4 Rens. I don't know why I quantified it that way, but I did.
I was trying really hard not to make a certain joke, but moving right along. I
don't even know what that is, and I don't want to know. Regardless,
no, you don't.
They have a no. Okay, all right, moving on. Point is, they have themselves a little bit of a conversation because things not doing so great.
Yeah, and Ren's just resigned himself to sitting out in the snow to brood,
sulking. Yeah, that's not very good. Anyway, I have no business talking about this last part, so you go ahead.
Okay, so, oh boy, Yang starts working on the fixing the bike.
It's at the engine, I think.
Yeah. And she starts asking Jean, hey, do you think she thinks less of me for not helping out? And Jean, I imagine, but you and me were initially like, look, Yang, girl, after everything you and Ruby have been through, it's, yeah, you disagreed, but she's not gonna, stop loving you or anything, you're sisters.
It's a completely understandable thing to assume, considering the last time Yang was having any kind of disagreement with anybody, so you'd kind of put 2 and 2 together and assume that's what she was talking about.
But then she just says, yeah, Ruby.
She's talking about Blake!
Yeah, and, okay, so you talked about people, with Whitley.
Yep, go ahead.
I want to talk about some people, debating this scene to try and say, oh, Yang is being a horrible sister and doesn't give a damn about Ruby anymore.
You've got the floor.
Yeah, which, okay. We've seen multiple instances of Yang terrified for Ruby's life. Do you remember that scene when, Ruby stopped time before she, used the Silver Eyes to take out the Leviathan? Look at Yang's face and how terrified she looks as she's reaching her hand out to, do something. Oh
There was
yeah,
also that-
I'm sure she doesn't really care.
There was also that one time she almost got eaten by a bear protecting her.
Yeah. And as for, like, the whole... Yeah, she's talking about Blake because, honestly, in this situation, who would you be more concerned about thinking less of you? Your sister that you've spent most of your life with? Or the person you've had a little bit of a rocky relationship with that's back on track, going well, that, let's be real, you have a crush on?
When you look at it from that perspective, her question kind of makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, like she knows Ruby's not gonna think less of her, and we know Ruby's not gonna think less of her. Like,
Yeah, we're already actually fully aware of that fact. So,
yeah, like,
no worries there.
Like, the bond these two have, it's gonna take a lot more than just, like, disagreeing over whether or not to do this or that to tear them apart. Like, that ain't happening.
I mean, the other one, slightly rockier. It's had some more issues.
Yeah.
And maybe she made a decision in a certain emotional outburst without considering how it might affect that specific person, because it wasn't part of, like, really what was important at that moment, and only now that she has a moment to really think back on it does she realize, oh wait, did I make the right call with that one?
Yeah, and I've even seen people point out that it kind of looks like Yang looks at Jean's sash that he kept from Pura, and with his line of, I used to push people away too, maybe she's thinking, oh wait, have I kind of done that? And I don't want to make the same mistake. And there's even the whole, like, they both made a promise to, like, stay with each other, and maybe Yang feels like she's kind of gone against that.
It's an understandable fear. I get it.
Also, the part that she had to fix the bike, it was purple, and that's a color you'd associate with Blake.
Okay, I feel that one's a little bit more of a stretch, but whatever. I feel like that's a coincidence.
Okay, yeah, admittedly it is, because it's gravity dust. Like
I'm good. Look, I was willing to ride with the entire line of thinking that you were rolling with, but that last part I'm gonna have to go, okay, hold up.
No, that last one's just a coincidence.
Anyway, the good news for Yang is, at least from an audience perspective, I don't think Blake is actually upset about that in any capacity. If she is, she's done a remarkably good job hiding it, even in the most subtle of ways. So I actually don't think she has anything to worry about there, although I get why she might be.
Yeah. And,
now we get the end of episode stinger.
Though before we get to that, Jean has no idea what Yang's talking about.
No, he doesn't.
Of course.
But to be... well, okay. Here's the thing. The audience is privy to a hell of a lot more than some characters are.
Yeah.
Okay? Realistically, actually look at it from Jean's perspective.
Yeah, I know.
How much reason would he have to think that there was anything going on?
True.
Okay.
And I have even seen people, like, bring up, oh, why didn't, like, Yang say anything? I'm pretty sure
really
if she's gonna, like, talk about that, it's gonna be to Blake, not someone else.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a knock towards Jean. It's just there's a time and a place and a person to speak with on that matter. It's not here, it's not now, and it's not him. All due respect.
Yeah. Crap, I had someone else. Oh yeah, if you, like, look at Yang's face, it looks like, as Jean's given his speech about, like, her and Ruby being sisters and everything, it looks like she kind of wants to say something, but then just settles on the, yeah, Ruby thing.
Yeah, again, I feel like it's mostly due to the fact that we've kind of got enough going on right now. No real need to bring in my issue right now when we've got this thing going on.
Yeah, so, hey, great facial animation there, Ruby.
Yeah, so, hey, there you go.
Yeah.
I will admit, when I first saw this scene, I thought it kind of came out of goddamn nowhere, and I was like, why is she randomly thinking about Blake? It makes more sense the more thought you put into it, and I concede, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a good scene.
Also, you might be a little surprised by this. My first time watching this specific moment, my reaction was, and I quote, "Excuse me?" That was it.
So it took you a sec too, then.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But,
so there you go. All right, I feel less bad about it now.
yeah. Although, there is something fan-related that's kind of blown my mind a little.
All right, go for it.
So, Tumblr has this thing where at the end
Boy,
of the
ever do they.
I'm talking about a very specific thing. We're not going into it in general. They have this thing where, like, at the end of every month, they'll list, like, okay, so what's, like, the top pairing of, like, the month? No, just from that one line from Yang, that one went up 9 places.
Of course it did.
And I've seen a bunch of people speculate, if it happens... Oof, I feel like a website is going to break.
We'll see. Ultimately, however, let's just wrap this whole thing up with a nice bow. Jean Red...
Depressing
Jean Red and Yang, they're experiencing a lot of what might be called bummer emotions.
Yep, and Jean has to go and say, things are gonna get worse before they get better.
Okay, in his defense, that's a hell of a lot better than how could things get any worse.
True, actually.
At least he's mentally prepared for the worst, because yeah, turns out that remember last episode when I said, you know, it probably has nothing to do with whether or not something is someone's fault, and it actually has more to do with maybe a plate fault.
Mm-hmm.
I was right.
Yeah.
A giant crack in the ground opens up, and some grim arms start shooting out.
No, I don't.
No, they don't. No. Oh, okay, they don't. But you hear a lot of noises.
Hang on, I'm gonna go like half speed.
No, you're
just
right.
To make sure.
No, you're right.
Okay.
I misremembered. It's just the crack getting bigger. My bad.
All right.
They might have a brief bit more time before something terrible happens, but something is gonna come up from the icy depths.
Yeah, and I've seen a whole bunch of speculation as to what it could be. The prime theory being that it could be Apathy Grim.
I've seen that too. I don't think so.
Yeah,
I'm going with the far more standard but equally intimidating Gargantuan Millipede.
Yeah. Oh, actually, you know what else it could be? We had that Grim Design competition. What if it's the Silverfish?
Could the Silverfish fly?
No, and while they're super small, they can like form together to create something bigger.
Well, I'm just saying, because if they're not in the water, then they're not that big of a threat at that moment. I'm not saying it couldn't be. They could have readapted it so maybe it could swim through the air. I don't know. But we'll see. If not next episode, probably the one immediately after that one.
Yeah, although I feel like it has to be next episode, right?
I don't know.
Or at least that one will end with like, oh, this is the Grim that's like they've encountered.
Yeah, we'll probably at least see it. We might not see the fight with it at that point, but we will at least see what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Or if there are multiples, or if it's one big one, or we'll see.
Yeah.
And that is Volume 8, Episode 4, Fault. Good in some ways, depressing in many others.
I at least try to make some stuff lighthearted and funny to counterbalance the depressing stuff.
we definitely tried.
Mostly with references.
Yeah, but also, this is a random thing to bring up, but shout out to Weiss once again. I know, but shout out to Weiss once again, being a bizarre source of levity in these depressing times. That go to your room thing, it's a somewhat funny moment. And there weren't a lot of haha moments in the episode.
Yeah, and because of the fan interpretation of how Blake was talking to Ruby, that gave me the mental image of Blake about to suggest that to Weiss, and her being like, no, I'm not calling Yang for you, go to your room. But this isn't my house.
It is now. You're family to me. Oh, is that true? Yes. And then they hug, and it is lovely.
And then Weiss is all, no, but seriously, I'm not doing it. Go to your room. Oh. But then it's all like, as soon as we're about to call her, I'll come and get you. Thanks.
Yay! Friendship.
Because let's face it, if Weiss inherits that mansion, she's gonna do that. Like, she's gonna have a room for all of her friends.
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me? Anyway, sorry to somehow find a way to bring her back up when she had nothing to do with anything. I just felt it was important to note that there was at least an attempt to interject some degree of humor into this episode. And more often than not this season, it's ended up being Weiss who's at least attempted it, or it came at her expense, something to that effect. And I found that interesting.
Or Blake.
It's been Blake and Weiss, and they're not originally known for doing that.
It's...
Character development.
Yeah.
They notice when a tense atmosphere is happening and are trying to diffuse it with some degree of humor or something to that effect, and that is surprising, and it shows a lot of growth for both of them.
Yeah, and after spending all this time with Ruby and Yang, like...
they're gonna get... Some traits are gonna rub off.
Yeah.
That's what partners do. Yay.
Platonically or otherwise.
Yes, whatever you want to call it. I don't give a damn. I'm done trying to argue it. Bumblebee is probably a thing. White Rose, more than most likely not. But you know what? Y'all go ahead and keep trying for it. I don't care.
I mean, I'm honestly still good with that just being like their best friends.
Yeah, I'm down for that more. I'm down for that much more so. But that's never gonna stop anybody. Anyway, now's not the time to talk about that.
No, not really. But
oh,
I got some stuff from the voice actors to speculate more on the future, which I guess we'll end this on.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so in the build-up to this volume, some stuff has been said by the voice actors to, tease the fans, get them speculating, to hype up the volume in general.
As you do.
And I saw a tweet that had, a whole bunch of them listed. Lindsay said that there's a monologue Ruby is going to have this volume that she's very much looking forward to. So,
hell yeah. Sorry, I was getting water.
Fair enough.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Go Ruby.
Also, her character this volume is said to be, and I quote, "everything hurts."
Oh,
so,
that's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, Sean did say it was going to get worse before it gets better. And I assume that meant for everybody.
Neef said he's really excited for, I think it's chapters 8 or 9 for something with Ren.
Oh no.
So, we'll see how that goes.
That's unnerving.
Yeah.
Right now, anything with Ren makes me nervous.
And speaking of unnerving, there's what Erin has been posting. That she had to record a lot of screaming for this volume. And crying.
God only knows why that might be the case.
Oh boy.
Because then you have to start speculating what could make Blake cry.
But also, is it like the sense of, is she crying in pain? Is it sadness? Could it be cries of happiness or whatever?
Unlikely.
I don't know.
We don't know. And that makes it worse. Because the way that the volume is going, we're conditioned to think it's probably going to be pretty something bad.
Yeah, and that's why I'm at least trying to bring up Blake, being happy and making jokes, or even the possibility of her and Yang finally getting together, because that's something that's going to give me some form of joy before God knows what happens.
That's kind of basically the same thing I'm going with. I'm enjoying the moments with Weiss being in control and flaunting her amazing character development, because at some point she's going to get into a sword fight with her sister, and I don't know how that's going to go, and it's not going to be fun.
Although, speaking of Weiss, Kara has not said anything.
That's because she lives a more private life than the other voice actresses.
Yeah. Plus, she doesn't really, do that much. I remember RTX.
She's very chill.
Yeah, like RTX when they said...
That wasn't intended.
I see what you did there. But yeah, RTX, when all the voice actors were saying, oh, like, in 3 words, name something you're excited for, all Kara said was, we're in Atlas.
Yeah, and that was perfectly serviceable. But yeah, she's the least teasing and probably the least vocal on Twitter. I follow her, and she tweets maybe once a month at best.
Actually, speaking of, like, voice actors on Twitter, Erin's back.
And that's lovely.
Yeah.
I'm glad she's feeling better and up to it.
Oh, there's a good sign of her feeling better.
Oh.
The
yeah.
thing I told you about off camera. We don't have to go into it.
Okay, thank you. We can talk about that later.
Yeah, but if you've seen...
It's not a bad thing at all. I'm just making jokes. Don't worry. Everything's safe and cool and good.
Yeah, I'm just saying this for the audience. If you want to know what it is, there are some posts on Twitter, people have posted it on Tumblr, or if you just follow Erin on Instagram, you know what it is.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
So, who the hell knows what those could possibly mean? Possibly good things. Let's hope that they are.
Yeah.
And that being all said, I do believe we've wrapped everything all up. We've mined all possible information we can out of this. And now we just have to wait for the next one, where our hearts will get ripped out all over again. Because every single episode so far, it's building to something bad. It's building, and and we keep waiting for it to finally do the punch, but it doesn't do the punch. It just keeps doing more building.
Well, I mean, Oscar physically got punched.
He did. That's not where I was going with that. But I don't think Oscar's going to die. So.
Oh no! Like, okay, we can at least say for sure, Ruby, Weiss, Blake, Yang, and Oscar are safe in that aspect.
And literally every other aspect, not as much. They could be emotionally destroyed as much as the writers choose, and that's horrifying.
Or even lose a limb.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess they're probably not gonna pull that off again.
Probably not.
But let's not even think about that, because now I can't help but feel like someone's gonna lose a leg for some reason.
I mean, if anyone actually, I'm not sure.
I don't know. You know, I've seen a lot of speculation and a lot of like fan art about Ruby losing one of her eyes.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty popular because of Tyrion saying eye for an eye to Cinder.
Yeah.
Ruby had some of her hair covering her eye a lot, just like Cinder had.
Yeah.
And also, some original concept art of Ruby had her with an eye patch.
So, I certainly hope nothing happens to her, but I mean, it's certainly not an impossibility. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Also, like, yeah, the concept art thing, like, yeah, I can see where people are coming from with that, but Blake's concept art had her with heterochromia.
That is true.
Yeah, like she had one gold eye and one blue eye.
So, sometimes concept art is just concept art. Although I will say that it is interesting that the only other silver-eyed maiden that we know of lost both of her eyes.
Yeah, that too.
Anyway,
Also,
I feel like that's a little much, but yeah, go ahead.
Also, I'm gonna throw this out there on recording. Catgirl with one gold eye, one blue eye in concept art. I feel like that inspired a little something.
Oh, shut your face.
I'm just saying it inspired the design.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, we'll see you guys next time for the next episode, where hopefully... Well, honestly, I'm honestly just hoping nothing exceptionally bad happens. The longer we can go without that, the better in my mind.
Yeah, like... I don't know what else to say to that.
I'm gonna go to bed.
You do that. Bye everybody.
Bye.